Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our weekly show. We call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping, where we review one of the top racing cars from around the United States. We will select a four-race sequence from that track and attempt to come to a consensus on a pick four ticket. Thank you for joining us. Week number 32 of the racing season finds us making our one and only stop of the year in Chicago. It ends a run of three consecutive weeks at Saratoga, Arlington Park in Arlington Heights, Illinois. It's Arlington Million Day. The pick four starts in race number 9 and it ends in race number 12. It's an all stakes races in the pick four on Saturday. My name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and racing analysts. It is our West Coast handicapper. He's joining us from Temecula, California, and if my analytics are correct, Joe English. Del Mar Racetrack has been open for 3 weeks, and you have made 3 visits to the track with Pacific Classic yet on the horizon. Are you planning on setting a new personal best for track visits this season to Del Mar?
I think if I go to the Pacific Classic, that will be the record. Yeah, I think I will. Good morning, Rich.
Good morning, Joe. I would be remiss if not mentioning our third broke guy. He is not going to be with us this morning. He is at a 50 and older bowling tournament this morning, so he has given up Arlington Million Day for a bowling day. It is Ray Torado. He is our East Coast handicapper. He normally joins us from Staten Island, New York. But this morning, you are just going to get the 2 West Coast guys on the Arlington Million. So thanks, Joe, for being here. And we 2 broke guys, the original 2 broke guys. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yep.
Last week was Saratoga, and that was the Travers Stakes. It was a nice card. Unfortunately, we did not hit our pick 4. It drops us to 0 for 12 in the second half of this year. It's time for a brief weather update from Arlington Heights, Illinois. The forecast for Saturday calls for sunny, along with a few afternoon clouds. The high is 76 degrees, winds at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. There is a slight 10% chance of rain. A total of 12 races, 6 stakes on tap for Saturday. For today, we are focused on the pick 4. It begins in race 9, concludes in race number 12. Joe, gates are locked and loaded. Got riders are clear, and the starter is ready to pop the gate. It's pick 4 post time.
I'm ready to go, Rich, except that you said that forecast was 5 to 10 mile an hour winds. What happened to the Windy City?
Yeah, I know. Well, you know.
Strange. Let's go, though.
Race number 9. The approximate post time is 5:58 p.m. Eastern time. Pick 4 is guaranteed at $300,000. They are going a mile and 11/16 on the turf. It is the American St. Ledger Stakes, a grade 3. The purse is $250,000 for 3-year-olds and upward. 8 starters, and your 2-to-1 morning line favorite is in post number 2. Taglib, trained by Mike Maker and ridden by Jose Ortiz. It's a marathon-type race, and past winners have included the Pizza Man and the Big Hoss. I am going to turn it over to, my one and only specialist at 1 mile and 11/16. Joe, who do you like in the opener?
A mile and 11/16. It's one of the stranger distances, and I don't know that there are any other races, of that exact distance in America, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, it's a tough race. I could have easily just said, okay, well, let's see. Mike Maker's got the 2 morning line favorites with Keystone for Victory, the winner of the Stars and Stripes, and Taglib, who won the Alan Jerkins at Gulfstream Park for 2 miles. So at least I know Taglib can get the distance. Keystone for Victory is winning a mile and a half. It's another mile, and it's another furlong and a half longer for him to get the distance. But I don't think it's out of his realm of possibility. Being by Shakespeare is out of theatrical, and Victory Gallop mare. I think he'll be able to run all day. I don't think that's an issue. So those 2 would be on my ticket, but I actually went with the number 7, Postulation, as my top choice. I don't know much about the jockey, and I don't know much about the trainer. Other than the statistics are all, positive ROIs. He's only run 21 horses through the year of 2017. Let's be clear. We're about 7.5 months done with the year, and he's only run 21 horses. But that ROI at 589 is pretty impressive. And I would like this horse a little bit better. I loved that last race in the Cape Henlopen Open at Delaware. And for whatever reason, for me, and maybe it's just something I see, horses that run at Delaware Park seem to come from Delaware Park and do better elsewhere. It seems like they ship well. I'm not sure what it is about the racing down there, I mean, that last performance was pretty impressive at a mile and a half. It would, to me, I'm hoping that this horse will actually sit off of Applicator. I don't think Applicator is going to run the same race he ran in the Stars and Stripes when they're putting blinkers back on for Jose Valdivia. I think he's going to be on the lead, and I hope Postulation sits right off of him. And at a mile and a 16th, I'm not really sure. I don't think you're going to get a lot of pace. You see races at a mile and a half, 51 and 3. If you get 51 and 3 and your horse is pretty close to the lead, that's not bad. But to me, these races are won by distance specialists. And the one reason I like Postulation over a horse like Bullard's Alley, who's right below him, Bullard's Alley is 1 for 18 on the turf. It seems as if Bullard's Alley just doesn't seem to want. I mean, I shouldn't say he doesn't seem to want to win. He just doesn't win. And at least Postulation, I know, is 3 for 12 on the turf and 4 for 15 lifetime. Again, Bullard's Alley's got 5 wins overall, but only 1 of them on the turf. And it's been a long time since he's won a race. Postulation's at least won his last out. So I'm going to try and see if I can beat the two favorites, beat the maker duo of Keystone for Victory and Taglib. But again, they'll be on my ticket because, Keystone for Victory is 8 for 12 on the turf. Just won the Stars and Stripes over this course at a mile and a half. So he's got a little bit further to go. I think it's out of the realm of possibility that he's going to get there. And Taglib is somebody we know about. Taglib he's got wins at Gulfstream Park and Remington Park. Last race in the Arlington Handicap at Arlington was not necessarily as impressive. Granted, he was running against horses that are going in the million today, but I'm just not sure if he's cycling towards a good race. Maybe I don't know if today's the day. Maybe it's the second. Maybe it's 2 races from now, or if he's just off form. So if I had to pick in order, it would be 7, 1, and 2 for me in the American St. Ledger at, again, the strange distance of 1 mile and 11/16. So 7, 1, 2 for me in the opener and the pick 4. Rich?
One of those crazy races, again, you alluded to the distance. It even threw off the people over here at the Brisnet forums. If you look, it'll tell you, if you go to the summary page, you might make a mistake and think, wow, look, 26% of the time, these massive marathon distances are going to wire types, but you have to walk up here at the very type. Arlington runs this distance so infrequently, I'm assuming, and I've seen Brisnet do this before. It frustrates the heck out of me, to be honest with you. It's everything that's grouped from 10 furlongs all the way up to and including 16 furlongs is where they're getting this number. And so the thing that I would tell folks is sometimes when you see things where they've got that big of a group, you have to do kind of this, and this doesn't really matter anymore because who knows what the mile and 11/16 number is actually. So I did not split my makers here. Kenneth and Sarah Ramsey, you want to beware of the Ramseys on big race days, and Arlington Million is as big a race day as there is. It is one of the very first big race days in America. And so you got to watch out for the Ramseys there. Michael Maker and Julian Leperoux, they hit 25% together. This horse has actually won 4 of the last 5 races. And if you look down here, the only race that he actually didn't win in that sequence was in Barbados. So, for God's sakes, maybe he just doesn't like the Caribbean, right?
Maybe he was on the
yeah, exactly.
Mine's on the beach. I don't blame him.
He wouldn't be the first guy to have gone down to the Caribbean and not fire his best shot. Let's just say that. But the other 4 races, they've been at a mile and a 16th and a mile and 8th, and then those last 2 are at a mile and a half. And if you see this one at a mile and a half, where he was actually 18 lengths off, no, I'm not thinking distance is any problem whatsoever for Keystone for Victory. So he becomes my top pick there. I'm sorry, I've seen that before now. He becomes my top choice in this race. Taglib, I'll go ahead and back him up. I'm not a huge Taglib fan. Joe caught the breeding on Keystone for Victory with Shakespeare. I'm a little bit higher on Taglib's breeding. I was a big Hardspun fan, and Hardspun actually did very well here at Arlington Park, just incidentally. I know he hasn't necessarily been a win machine, but he does hit against the best, and he will not have a problem with this distance. And I did use the third pick. I went with the third one. I actually used Bullard's Bay down here. And so that's Irad Ortiz. And again, the horse is not going to have a problem getting the distance. So Bullard's Alley getting up on my ticket. I went 1, the 2, and the 8, I believe, are my 3 choices, if I'm not mistaken, that are on this one. One of the things I liked about Keystone for Victory as well, the horse has ridden very, very well. it doesn't matter who's on him. And I mean, obviously, he's had a who's who of who's been on him like that. But you see down here, he won with Jose Ortiz. He's won with Javier Castellano. He actually lost with Patrick Husbands. And then Tito Gaffalione and Julian Leparoux. Again, he's got Leparoux again today and things like that. But the horse, apparently, it doesn't appear to mean that he needs to be matched up with any specific riders. So, yeah, I went 1-2-8. Joe, I believe you went 7-1-2.
Yes.
All right. And I will go ahead and come on back, and we're going to move along. Hi, everybody. Good morning. By the way, just so you know, Joe and I are West Coast handicappers, and it is exactly 5:43 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday. That's how much we love this show. All right. Next up is race number 10. This is the Beverly D Stakes. They're going 1 mile and 3/16 on the turf. It is a grade 1. The purse is $600,000 for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. Win and you are in. The winner of the Beverly D will punch her ticket to the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf. 10 starters, and your morning line favorite starts from post number 4. Dona Bruja, trained by Ignacio Correas and ridden by Declan Cannon, is 7-2 favorite on the morning line. Kind of a tasty favorite there on the Arlington morning line. The Beverly D Stakes is the filly counterpart to the Arlington Million, and 6 Beverly D winners have gone on to be voted the American champion female turf horse. Most recently, it was Dank in 2013. You know, 10 of the classiest ladies in the country. They are all in town. Is there any doubt we'd be going to Joe English? Joe, you are up first in the Beverly D.
Considering that I'm the only one here, of course there's no doubt. Okay. This is the Arlington International Turf Festival. If I'm not mistaken, at least that's what they call it. So why not go international? From everything I've heard about the horse that Rain Goddess lost to last time out, Enable, everybody thinks she's, I don't know, maybe she's the second coming of Winx. I don't know. I mean, and I'm sure everybody who's watching our show knows Winx, the Australian Wonder filly. I don't know if she's a filly or a mare now, but she's won, I don't know, 15, 16 in a row. So Enable is from what I heard, everybody wants her to come. She's a wonderful, wonderful mare. And Rain Goddess got beat by her by 5.5 lengths while being clear from the rest of the field in the Irish Oaks. Again, she's been graded stakes place, grade 1 stakes place twice already this year at the Curragh in Ireland. I guess one of my big concerns is that she's not done. I mean, she hasn't won. Again, she hasn't won. She's one-time winner, but it's not really a big concern because if you remember, Queen's Trust, who won the Breeders' Cup filly mare turf last year, also was a one-time winner because she was just facing better horses across the pond than we have here. And again, I trust Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore. She's getting first Lasix, as Rich has noted. She's also dropping 9 pounds in weight. Obviously, they run for a lot bigger, they run under a lot higher weight scale than in Europe than they do here. So she drops 9 pounds, gets first Lasix, and the trainer and jockey combination is a threat wherever they go. And Aidan O'Brien wouldn't send her over here, I don't think, if she wasn't ready to go. So again, she's my top choice. But I couldn't really single her. My second and third choices are horses who are probably going to be on or near the lead. The 6, Zapesa. She was great in the Beverly D last year. She ran third behind C. Khaleesi and Alice Gallo, leading just about every step of the way. And she's rounding back into form. She ran third in the Eatontown behind Grand Jeté at Monmouth, second by a nose in Delaware in the Dick Memorial. And I just think she likes Arlington. And I think she's cycling towards one of her better races. And I think she's going to be on or near the lead in a race that I'm not sure has a lot of pace. It has a little. And the other horse that I like in this race is the horse who probably should be, I expect to be on the lead, and that's the 9 Hawksmoor, who's won back-to-back races in the Beaugay and in the New York. In the New York, even going 1.25 miles, which is further than she's going today. Le Peru gets up. She does pick up a couple of pounds. She did lose a little time due to sickness between the July 1st workout at Fairhill and the July 22nd work, but it looks as if, and I read an article on the internet that quoted trainer Arnaud Delacour saying she's been training better since she got over the sickness. and that 5 furlong drill at Fairhill over the training track at a minute and one. That's, to me, that's telling. They don't go a minute and 1/5 over that track. They're more likely to go a minute, 1:01 as opposed to a minute and one. So I think Hawksmoor is doing well, and it's possible that Hawksmoor could lead this field wire to wire. Like I said, she's done it before. She just hasn't done it in a grade one. She hasn't done it outside Belmont Park. So we'll see if the ship or if the surface is a problem. But I went 10-6-9. Yes, I know I threw out the morning line favorite, Doña Bruja. But it's only because she hasn't done it against grade one company in the United States. She hasn't done it against, she did win a grade one in Argentina. And I don't want to knock Argentinian racing, but it's not racing in the US or it's not racing in Europe. So I'm going to let her at 7-2. If she's the favorite, I'm going to let her beat me. So I went 10-6-9 in the Beverly D at Arlington in the second leg of our pick four, which seems to have been our bugaboo lately. So Rich, do we need to go deeper than just those three?
I sure did. I almost hit the that funny little button that we have on these pages and like that. I really consider going all in this particular race. You already saw it. So my check mark is on the same horse that Joe brought up. Everybody on the planet is talking about Enable. So that horse is a solid horse like that. Again, Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore, one of the most solid combinations, again, on the planet. The horse had been hitting against G1 Company, and she's finished second in her last three. Maybe not even just the second here against Enable, obviously extremely impressive like that. The other one, of course, you got to notice is your classic, second out of 24 horses down here. This is a very solid horse. So she is my top pick. Again, bringing off of what Joe thought of, I could not single her. And as a matter of fact, I did not think that, she was a runaway favorite here and like that. Again, bringing up the Ramses one more time like that. This is a Kitten's Joy. So I've got Michael Maker and Florin Giroux looking for a bit of a price here, hopefully, in this race. This horse has been really solid. If you look at, the last, going back to November of 2016, this horse has just been, all the way back to September of 2016. This horse has just been right on or there in every single race. There's a fourth here. That's Dickinson and Lady Eli in that particular race. And a third behind Hawksmoor, where Hawksmoor got away with a soft lead, and nobody was going to catch her that day. So I did put Kitten's War in there. I included the favorite, so I had Dona Bruja in there. And I think maybe my top pick beyond Rain Goddess would be, I can't believe we were going to go through a turf race and not mention a Chad Brown runner. So I wasn't going to let that happen. And here we have Chad Brown and Joel Rosario, who are a 32% combination together. This is Grand Jeté. And as you see there, I've got the three broke guys angles, right? Moving or circled here, which is the moving up in class. I imagine if our buddy Ray was here, he might be on Grand Jeté as well for that reason. You can't knock the horse since coming over from Europe, from coming over to France. Just everything that he's done has been a win. So 3 for 3. I was thinking of the Breeders' Cup a few years back, Joe, the one that knocked us out of the pick four that day that cost us quite a big payday, as a matter of fact. And I can't remember the name of the turf horse that actually knocked us out. He was a beast. He seems to have had that similar running line where, coming over from Europe, he has just found a softer crowd. And Grand Jeté. So on my top line here, I went 10, and then I also used 3, 4, 5. And just so you know, I considered using this horse as well. So the German Invader, Peter Schurgen, and I'm not sure who Stark Andrasch is, but this is the Wake Forest angle from a few years ago. These top German horses that come over here, and again, to compete in the Arlington International. So I've got 10, 3, 4, 5. Joe has 10, 6, 9. This is going to be an interesting race on our ticket. I'm going to come on back, and we will move along to the feature.
Rich Ray didn't send you his
I do. It's at 5 o'clock in the morning. My eyes just are not sharp enough to get.
Okay, because I turned off my phone earlier, so I wasn't sure if he had sent it. But okay, and I think the horse is Caraconti the horse you might be thinking about.
Was it Caraconti? No, I'm trying. It's
no. Okay, I think I know what it was. The Shug McGahee horse. I can't remember the horse's name now.
I cannot remember his name for some reason.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. The horse had won 4 in a row, and we
left him off our ticket, and sure enough, there he was, beating all the Euros on.
Maybe I'll remember it before the end of the show, but I'm drawing a blank at the moment.
Yep. And just so you know, so I do have a text from Ray. Ray has the, if I'm not mistaken, he fired at the Keno machine in that one just like I did, and he went 4-1-3-5-7.
Okay. All right.
Good to know that even though Ray's not here, he still gave us.
Awesome.
All right, we are moving along to race number 11. This is 1.25 miles on the turf. It is the feature. It's the Arlington Million Stakes. It's a grade 1. The purse is obviously $1 million. It's for 3-year-olds and upward. Win and you are in. The winner of the Arlington Million will punch their ticket to the Breeders' Cup Turf. 13 starters, and your morning line favorite at 7-2 is in post number 5. Deauville, trained by Aidan O'Brien, ridden by Ryan Moore. All right, the Arlington Million was introduced in 1981 by Joe Joyce. It's the dad of TVG's Mike Joyce and the president of Arlington Park at the time. The Arlington Million was the first thoroughbred race to offer a purse of $1 million. John Henry won the inaugural running of the Arlington Million, and to date, he is the only horse to have won the race twice. Joe, get this. In 2004, Pat Gibson won £1 million on the UK version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire by correctly answering that the Arlington Million was not a Triple Crown race in the United States. Joe, why doesn't anybody ask us questions like that for £1 million instead of questions like, Joe, who do you like in a million?
Yeah, that's easier for us than I think figuring out who's going to win a Big Four, as you can see by our record for the second half of the season. Yeah, this again, we're going International Turf Festival, and just so that you're clear, Rich, there are actually only 12 starters. The 9 Scottish was declared a couple of days ago.
That's right. I actually have him off of mine.
Okay. So yeah, I mean I'm going for a daily double with Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. I think Deauville's been running against better. Again, he hasn't been winning of late, but he did come over and win the Belmont Derby last year, and he finished third in the Arlington Million behind Mondialiste and Kasaki, 2 necks from winning the whole thing last year. So I don't think there's any issue with just liking the surface. I think he'll be just fine. He's just been running against better horses. In the Queen Anne, he got beat by Ribchester at Ascot. He finished second. The last race is a little bit concerning that he finished second at 4-5 against 4 other runners. But it's funny because I look at the weight. I'm for whatever reason, I guess I'm converting to a weight guy, and he's dropping 12 pounds. He was carrying 138 pounds in that last grade 3, which I understand, because he seems to be so much better than running in a grade 3 that you would need to put 138 pounds on him. Note to the Delmar stewards, that's how much weight you should have put on Arrogant. Even though he didn't run well in the San Diego Handicap, on his best day, he should have carried a lot more than the 120 whatever that he carried. But anyway, I digress.
Which one finished 5th?
Yeah, again, even though he got beat, I guess I'm piling on. So, like I said, I just went with Deauville. I think he's been running against better horses. I think the ship over is fine. He should sit a nice trip. He'll be sitting right off the pace. He drew a nice post. He's got pretty much the best of everything. To me, he's strictly the horse to beat at 7-2. I also like the other international runner, the 13 Mektal. I'm going to assume is the pronunciation. Finished 6th behind Highland Reel in the Prince of Wales Stakes. Again, Highland Reel, we've seen here win the Breeders' Cup Turf last year. Very classy animal. This guy won a grade 1 in Chantilly earlier in the year, beating Usherette, who was actually, I'm not sure if she's lost a little bit of her luster, but she was a really, really good young filly late in the year last year. But this horse has been competing against the Brest in France. So I cannot not include him. He's got it. I mean, even though he's marooned in post 12, I think you got to use him on a ticket. I don't think we can get away with not using him. And I guess I'm going 3 deep, but I'm going nostalgia, and I hope somebody joins. I hope somebody joins John Henry. I'm going with the Pizza Man to try to get his second Arlington Million. Third start off the layoff. This is obviously what they've been disappointing for. What I do find interesting, though, is that Florent Giroux could have ended up on like 2 or 3 different horses, and he ended up on Oscar nominated for the Ramses and Mike Maker. Because I mean, obviously he rode the Pizza Man last time out against Keystone Victory, but to me that race was a prep. I'm not concerned second that he couldn't hang on to the lead that he had at 1.5 miles. Maybe that race was too far from. I think 1.25 miles is probably perfect for him. Irad Ortiz gave up a day's mounts at Saratoga to be here, so he's not coming just to he's not here for the Chicago Pizza. He's here to try and win the race. Well, I guess he's here for the Chicago Pizza if you consider the Pizza Man Chicago's Pizza. So for me, I went 5 on top with the 13 and the 7. Again, another race that you could probably go deeper. And if I know my colleagues, they probably did. Rich?
Wonder if we could rename this one like the Three Broke Guys Turf International. The horses that appeared in this particular race, the Arlington Million, have made more appearances on the Three Broke Guys handicapping show than any other race we've ever seen combined. As you see here. So before I get to my top pick and like that, I just had to give an acknowledgement here to the horse that if we ever hit a pick 6 and we make $1 million like that, this is the horse we should claim and put into our own stable.
He's not going to be. He's not. I don't think he's ever going to be up for claim.
Yeah, or buy him when he's retired and put him out to something like that. So Beach Patrol, as you see here for some of the statistics, not only is he a Chad Brown, Joel Rosario trainee, he actually once was a Phil D'Amato trainee as well out here on the West Coast, like that. This is the 11th time he has appeared on the Three Broke Guys handicapping. He was on the very first episode of this show that we ever did. This was before he was actually, a somebody. Beach Patrol has been on this show. So I just had to give a nod to him just for a second, just because he has been on this show so often. My top pick in this race is the 5. I ended up singling Deauville here. As you guys have heard these last few weeks, I need some flexibility in my other picks, and I'm looking for these singles here and like that. I do like McTall a lot out there. I had to make a choice between the 2 Euros here, so I stuck with Deauville. Irish bred. You've got a star trainer, Aidan O'Brien. The horse is named for one of the most famous racetracks in France, and of course, you've got a superstar English jockey who's aboard. So Ryan Moore has been aboard this horse before. And I am assuming that he is going to have a very nice trip there from Post 5. And even though he's got some of the who's who in American turf racing, some of the best racers that we've seen here over the last few years, I decided to kind of make my Waterloo here in the Arlington Million. And I'm going to go ahead and I am going to single Deauville. I think Joe's absolutely. I actually like Scottish a lot as well, this horse here, until he scratched. Again, just my little nod to horses like Beach Patrol and Casaqui, and Divisadero, all of whom have shown up on Three Broke Guys handicapping, even the Pizza Man himself, who has been here quite often in the past. So Joe went 5, 13, and 7. You've just got Rich chickening out and going with a single here. I've got Deauville, the top pick. The favorite is the 5. And let me see here. I've got Ray's picks in my phone, and I believe Ray has got the 10, the 7, the 5, and the 13. All right. I am going to go ahead and come on back. And we'll move along to the finale. All right, race number 12. This is 1 1/8 on the turf. It's the Pucker Up Stakes. It's a grade 3. The purse is $100,000 for fillies, 3-year-olds only. 12 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 7. Lovely Bernadette, trained by James DeVito and ridden by Corey Lannery, 7-2 on the Arlington Park morning line. Joe, I believe the name of the favorite may be a reference to the popular television show The Big Bang Theory. That's appropriate because we're going to need our geniuses to figure out the winner in the Pucker Up. Who do you like in the finale?
I hope you don't find any fault in my selection. Actually, you might.
Whoops, Joe, I can't hear you very well. Did I lose you?
Okay, maybe I should put that back.
You have a mic up.
Yeah, exactly. I was just getting it out of the way of my face. Like I said, I maybe you won't find. Hopefully, you'll find some fault in my selection. I actually like the number 2, Miguel Mena and Michelle Lavelle, Fault, and it has nothing to do with Wimbledon or tennis or anything like that. I think she ran a great race in the Tawi. She did beat the favorite, Lovely Bernadette, last time out. I would assume that everything's going well for this filly. She has not worked since then, but of course, this is still a quick turnaround. She's coming back from the Tawi in Indiana 3 weeks after that race, as anybody who's coming out of the Tawi is. I think this horse is going to sit a nice trip. I think there's enough speed in the race to make it where the closers are going to have a fair chance. The horse has been finishing well. Again, she's coming back pretty quickly. But this race is wide open to me. And I wanted to make sure I got somebody who drew an inside post. I'm just not sure how marooned they're going to be on the outside, but this race really is wide open, and the 7-2 morning line favorite tells you that. And no, I didn't choose Chad Brown's horse. Actually, I don't even have Chad Brown on my ticket in this race either, believe it or not. Wow. It's a Saturday and I'm not picking Chad Brown in a stakes race. I think maybe I should look out for some lightning bolts to come through my roof and strike me dead.
Guys, what were you doing last night?
I was at Delmar, believe it or not. Actually, it's really easy to believe. No, it's because I didn't pick Chad Brown. That's why I'm figuring the lightning bolts are going to come through my roof. So I like Fault. Again, wide open race. The speed figures are good enough for this filly to win. The problem is that three-year-old fillies tend to be a little bit less predictable. The other horse I like on my top line is a horse who's stretching out to this 1.125 and that's the 5. Don't mess with Joanne. Again, another one coming out of the Tawi, getting another furlong of ground, another closer. Again, my guess is you could probably throw a blanket over those closers, which would include the 7, Lovely Bernadette. Anybody who came out of that race. The 10 Happy Mesa is my other choice. And again, I guess I'm going to the Tawi as my key race. Florent Giroux gets back aboard Happy Mesa. But she's actually on my secondary line only because she drew the 10 hole. If she was down on the inside, I'd have to use her on top. But again, I think there's enough speed in here between Royalty Princess down the rail. Princess La Quinta should show some speed, and Katinka in post 9. At least those 3 should be prominent early. And if you look at the 11, Canny for Le Peru might even try to go and steal this race, as he probably will attempt to do with Hawksmoor in the Beverly D. But again, race is wide open, not really a very strong opinion. If I could have gone deeper on my own personal pick 4 ticket, I would have. But it's 2, 5, and 10 in that order for me in the pucker up. And like I said, I guess I'm repeating myself, a pretty wide open affair. Rich?
I'd recommend you hit the all button here if you could. If you've got the bankroll and things like that, this race is tough enough, and this is where it comes in. My top choices, Joe kind of preluded me here. Chad Brown and Joel Rosario have a horse in this race. If anybody's surprised that I'm choosing that horse, please raise your hand, and one of the broke guys will come around and tap you on the head with a mallet.
You haven't been watching.
Yeah, exactly. So again, I don't think you're going to get a great value on this because again, you're getting Chad Brown and Joel Rosario, one of the top jockey trainer combinations, not just on the East Coast but in the country. They hit 32% together. The horse, maybe started off as a winner, got stuck right into a grade 3, and then since then has been trying to find their way along in the allowance race, and then lo and behold, just typical Chad Brown stuff, pops up and wins a little stakes race. So moving up in class, the 3 broke guys angle, but again, kind of our trainer and Chad Brown. I did like Joe's horse that he brought up, Fault, and I also liked Lovely Bernadette. So I had the 2, the 3, and the 7 on my top line. I actually think Lovely Bernadette looks very, very tough in this particular slot. I know that she got beat in that last race by Fault. It looked like maybe she had some traffic coming down the finale, and she was in a 12-horse field. And she was stuck down kind of low in the post position 2. So I can't help but wonder if with post position 7, if Corey Lannery will get her a little bit of a better trip this time, and she turns the table on Fault. So I did have 2, 3, 7. I like the 10 as well. So I'll see if I have room to fit the 10 in there. Again, my recommendation, if you've got the bankroll, if you've got something a little bit earlier, go ahead and hit the all button here in this race. It's that difficult, and you could get a nice price here in the finale. Joe went with 2-5. Rich went with 2-3-7. And let me check here. Mr. Toronto in absentee is on the 3 and the 4.
See, just
that wide open.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I guess maybe if you like the two European horses in the middle, you can go all, and then the two Aidan O'Brien horses, Rain Goddess and Deauville, and then all in the last race, and hope to get yourself a price in one of those two, if not both of those legs.
I agree. All right.
So,
let me go ahead and pop open our pick 4 template here, and
sure.
Joe, I will turn it over to you to go ahead and take us through what is this week. Is just thank you for doing this. So for the folks, we're moving into our next part of the program here. I'm going to go behind the scenes. I'll go ahead and put together what we call the 3 Broke Guys Pick 4 ticket, and in the meantime, Mr. English will take you through his individual pick 4. Joe is nice enough to go ahead and share his individual ticket with us on a weekly basis. And go ahead, Joe, take it away.
Nice enough, depending on. I'm nice enough to do it, but I haven't. Unfortunately, we haven't really had much success doing it. So let's see if we can turn the tables today. Again, went with Postulation as my top choice in the American St. Ledger. I actually went 3x3x3x3, so I went kind of symmetrical, hoping to maybe change the tide. Postulation, like I said, coming out of a 1.5 mile race at Delaware Park. Excuse me, and Delaware Park generally has been a pretty good park to ship out of. It seems as if they run horses that have run there run pretty much well everywhere. I've seen them run well in New York. I've seen them run well in Florida. Seen them run well, and I'm hoping that this horse will run well in Chicago. And those ROI numbers for trainer Edward Graham, again, he's only run 21 horses throughout the year, but almost a $6 return on investment. Excuse me. $6 return on investment seems pretty positive to me. I would never turn that down. The horse is bred to go long. Look at the sire stats and the damn sire stats. The horse will win. The horse, I mean, 1 mile and a 16th, I guess, is really a distance. Unless you've actually done it, you'll never know. Like Tigleeb's done it. He has at least won at that distance. That's why you almost have to include him. So I went 7-1-2 in that order in the American St. Ledger. In the Beverly D, I think Rain Goddess is going to win the race. I think she's the best out there. Like I said, dropping weight, coming out of the 2 grade 1s where she finished second, 1 behind Enable, who's a wonder horse that everybody wants to come over. Everybody wants to see at the Breeders' Cup. In Delmar, she's getting first Lasix, and Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore need say no more. Speaking of more, again, in the Arlington Million, same deal, going to Deauville, dropping 12 pounds off the second place finish in the grade 3 at Leopardstown. I'm assuming that was just the prep for today. Finished 3rd in the Queen Anne grade 1 at Ascot, behind Ribchester, in a race that Miss Temple City actually ran in on opening day at Ascot during the Royal Meet this summer. Again, Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore, need say no more. And in the Pucker Up, again, very tough race. You could go any number of ways. I decided to go on top with Fault, who had the cleanest trip, and maybe she'll get the cleanest trip again. Maybe, like Rich said, Lovely Bernadette can turn the tables on Fault. Also, like Don't Mess with Joanne. Again, the stretch out from 1 mile and an eighth, from 1 mile to 1 mile and an eighth. And again, Florent Giroux actually could have ridden multiple horses in this race. James Graham ends up on this horse. Brad Cox and James Graham have had some success of late. At least I think there was one I could remember recently. But again, so I like the 5 a little bit underneath at a little bit of a price on the stretch out. And the 10, my other choice was Happy Mesa. I'm going to disregard the last race for whatever reason. Obviously, she was 4th by a length at the second call, and for whatever reason folded up temp. And Florent Giroux ends up here for Mike Maker. So obviously he's Maker's boy today. So I went 2, 5, and 10 Fault, Don't Mess with Joanne, and Happy Mesa in the Pucker Up. So 3x3x3x3, which at a 50-cent increment would be $40.50. If you don't mind losing your money, please go ahead and throw it away. Actually, no, don't throw it away. Play my ticket and see if we can let's see if we can get past the second leg in any of these.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. English. Appreciate it.
Sure.
And here we go. Up onto the screen comes the three broke guys pick four ticket. Looks a little slim right now. So we'll see if we need to add anybody here. Take us through it real quick. In leg number one, we have Joe. Can you see my screen? Just making sure I got the.
I certainly can.
All right. So in leg one, we've got the 1, 2, and the 7, and here's how we ended up on those three. Let's see. The 1 is my top pick. No, excuse me. Hold on one second here. Joe, your top pick is the 7. On the top line, I have the 1 as my top pick. So the 1 is on there as my top pick, and it looks like Ray has also got the 1 as his top pick if I'm reading this correctly. So the 1 ends up on there for me and Ray. The 7 ends up as Joe's top pick, and Joe, you've got the 1 and the 2 on your bottom line. I've got the 1 and the 2 on my bottom line. Ray didn't include the 2 here, but the 2 is going to go in because you and I have both got them. So 1, 2, 7. Second leg got a little more difficult. You had 10, 6, 9 as your top pick, and I had 10, 3, 4, 5. And of course, Ray, in his wisdom, did not have the 10 at all. So the 10's going in because that's yours and my top pick. So the 10's in there, and the 4, neither the 6 or the 9 could match up with anybody else's on yours, and I did not get anybody on mine. The 3, 4, 5 matched up. Let's see. Ray's top pick is the 4. So Ray, if I'm reading this correctly, has a top pick of the 4. I did actually have the 4 as one of my 3 picks in there. So you and I are going 10-4, good buddy. In leg number 3, I believe Deauville. The 5 is your top choice, and the 5 is also my top choice. That's Deauville. That's actually my single. And if I'm looking down here at Ray, I believe Ray has the 10 as his top choice in this race. And I think I put the 13 in because you and Ray both have the 13 on your top line. So let's see if we can add the 10 here. So we've got Ray's top choice in here as well. 5, 10, 13. And in the last leg, I just have the 2 and the 3 covered. Joe, your top choice was the 2. I have my top choice is the 3. So that's where the 3 came from. And you also had the 5 on there. I have the favorite on there as well, the 7. And Ray just has the 3 and the 4. So Ray was able to match his 3 up with my 3. So 2, 3 in the finale. And let's see, 3 times 3 up. Excuse me. Let's update this. $18 now. All right. So 3 times 2 times 3 times 2 gives us $18 pick 4.
Let me just say that in this pick 4, $18 to me, we'll be pretty lucky if we get to the point where the last leg matters. This, I mean, I think the first leg we got covered, but after that, I mean, unless Rain Goddess wins and Deauville wins, and even then, we're only 2 horses deep in the pucker up. It's just like, wow.
Again, which is why in the Arlington Million, I just couldn't. I couldn't go any deeper than trying to single and things like that. My ticket is loaded. I'm loaded in the pucker up. So I've got I'm in my individual ticket. I'm 5 deep in the pucker up, and I went 3 times 4 in the first 2 legs. So I'm 12 deep already, and then 5. So I've got a $30 pick 4 on my side loaded up already.
It's funny because the way you feel about Deauville is kind of the way I feel about Rain Goddess. I think if I was going to single one horse in this.
You think you'd go that direction?
I would probably go Rain Goddess, even drawn post 10.
Yep.
Like I said, if Enable is everything that everybody's cracked up to be, as long as she handles the track. The one thing about Deauville is that we know he's run over the Arlington surface before and he's handled it well. Rain Goddess, this is her first trip stateside, so and she drew an outside box, but still, if Enable is everything, if she's everything that everybody says she is, Rain Goddess might just lay over this field. So if I was going to do that personally, I would single Rain Goddess more than I would single Deauville. But it's a tough pick for it. It's a tough sequence, and
they're both tough races.
Yeah, they're not layovers or cinches by any means. And if for whatever reason Rain Goddess doesn't run, you could, to me, like I said, I'm not the biggest Doña Bruja fan, even though she's won 10 of 12 or 8 of 10, something like some ridiculous number like that. But other than Rain Goddess, I think you could throw a blanket over the Beverly D field.
All right. Okay, for those of you, and Joe, you got our pick 4 ticket down there?
Yes, I do.
All right. For those of you watching, if you enjoyed the show, well, we'll be back next week because that's what the three broke guys do. We will get together to take a look at another exciting card, and I cannot believe it has already been a year, Joe, since we saw California Chrome defeat Beholder and Dortmund. But it has, and that means it's time for the TVG Pacific Classic. And that means the three broke guys are going to be at Del Mar next week. Well, I'll guarantee you I'll be at Del Mar next week.
I have to talk to the home office, and when she wakes up, I'll let you know.
Get authorization.
Yes. Clearance from the government.
There we go. All right, Joe. That's all the time we've got for this morning. It's always a pleasure to handicap with you, and of course, we missed Ray this morning.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, he won't be on track next week. Maybe we'll see if we can do something where we can do the show Saturday morning from the bar at the Del Mar Hill.
Well, wouldn't that be nice?
All right. We'll have to figure that out next week. And Rich, just so that everybody's aware, Del Mar usually adjusts its post time next week. So they start at 2:00. They might start at 12 or 12:30 on Pacific Classic Day. Just as an aside for everybody out there, especially everybody who's going to Del Mar, you might want to get there a little early next Saturday.
All right. For Joe English and for Ray Torado in absentia, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you for watching Three Broke Guys Handicapping. Good luck and good day.